Hi everyone. I'm coming for a live for this summer series. If it's the first time you caught me live, just say hello that I can welcome you properly. If you're back here, welcome back. There is a lot happening individually, collectively, and I feel important today to discuss having the conversation that are not necessarily easy to have and yet so essential. But because we're so attached to the outcome of that conversation, we're pushing away. We don't want to face painful feeling. We don't want to face certain fears. We don't want to face what is uncomfortable. If we're into projections, then we don't want to face what other people are going to project on us. I think the more I do the work and the more I try I study human behavior and how relationships are built and how those who have the happiest relationship are managing their own emotions, are managing their own leadership. The more I study that, the more I understand and integrate that having the courage to look at maybe something that is going to cause pain to us or to someone else is important. The problem is with today's society is that we want to numb everything that is uncomfortable. And I feel that the reason why social media is so impactful, just spread it like crazy, is because it has that capacity to just numb people, to distract. If you prefer another word, it's distractions. And I realized that when we think about something, when we think about a certain topic to discuss about, when we think about a memory, when we think about an experience, if there is any discomfort, if there is any pain that could arise from that, we distract ourselves. We spend hours on social media, we scroll Instagram, we watch television, we listen to music, we go out there partying and drinking alcohol and smoking. But what I wish people would understand is that the ultimate freedom we feel only comes after we're facing the fears, after we're facing the most painful moment. But because we think we're not gonna be okay, because we feel that if we experience those feelings, we're not gonna be okay, because we don't trust ourselves that we're gonna be fine after that, then we rather not face it at all. And so I am really curious to know if at some point any study would be done about that. I'm really curious to know how many people are genuinely happy from all people who are showing a very happy lifestyle, going to the best places, traveling to the best hotels and tourist places, and having the best friends and the best family, and showing off on Instagram all those ideal life moments. How many of them are genuinely, truly happy? And happiness has many faces. Happiness can be excitement, but it can be also a deep sense of calmness, can be peaceful, it can be joyful, it can be laughter, it can be freedom. Happiness has multiple faces to be defined. And so, what I like to focus on to really truly feel a sense of fulfillment in our lives is not necessarily how happy I am, but going deeper than that is, what do I put behind happy? Maybe for you, happy is going to laugh a lot. Maybe for someone else is going to be in silence a lot. For you, it might be the effervescence of the cities and the parties, and for someone else, the calmness of the forest. I consider myself coming from a broken family, but it's not unique. It's many people's story is like that. Many people come from broken, dysfunctional family. The difference is, because of the job I'm doing, because of that purpose I'm having of building the healthiest relationship that I can experience in this lifetime, it saddens me a lot. And it's a process to understand what makes a, a group of people chaotic, what makes it dysfunctional. And truth is, why I insist a lot on self-leadership is that, because if you have one of the member of that group, may a family, a team in a workplace, then it's just a matter of time until it spreads, until other people kind of start to act weird and behave not in their best self. And so the the true meaning of all those videos, of the podcast I'm doing, of the calls I'm offering, is that we get to have the conversation to clear up the space between people. And that doesn't mean that suddenly you have to get all the conversation from all what went wrong with your family, with your workplace environment, with your life. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that you need to have first conversation with yourself. And maybe one conversation is going to unlock a lot of writing and a lot of journaling, and then you're going to have breakthroughs and epiphanies, and then questions: why did I believe this? I don't want to believe this. And then you can move forward, but you have to face it for yourself first. And if you feel it necessary to have a conversation with someone else, then you bring in the person into the conversation. But it's first to have the conversation for you, to get clear where you stand today, how much peace you find with what you got. And if you've listened to some of the interviews I've made on my podcast, the Weaver podcast, you get to understand that there is a lot of people that experiences many traumas, and there is trauma is misused and is overused, and there is different scales of trauma. It doesn't have to be extreme. It can be something softer and yet still be a trauma for someone. And it's varying by degree, but also by person, because not everybody has the same scale depending on experiences and background and nervous system and resilience and emotional management, and all those things makes a life an experience. And what I feel is that in those interviews I met is interviewing people who are not more, not less than us, than you, than me. We're all equal, but different. And it's when you hear those stories and someone experiencing challenges in life and hardship and hard moment, and yet choosing the light, choosing to bounce back. And we have influence on other people, either we want it or not. You liking what I say is influence. You disliking what I say is also influencing you, because we're all reflection of each other. And so the purpose of self-leadership, the purpose of working on yourself for yourself first, is to grow that self-leadership, that no matter the circumstances, you know that you have influence on people, and you know that you have influence on people, so you're going to do all you can to be at your best, that the influence you get on people is the best. You showing up at a party has influence. You not showing up at a party has also influence. So I don't know if it will ever happen in my lifetime that I see the change I want to see. But the fact is, when I see, even in the news, in the big lines on newspaper, I see the society crumbles at some different places, but it's just a reflection of the homes. If we first look at where we are in our homes, with our own families, with our own friends, in our workplaces, then we can hope for the society to change at a bigger scale. But it starts with just one person. And maybe I'll share this one day, but one person has so much influence on a group. Whether they want it or not, they do have influence. And so how they behave, the ways they're going to act toward this group or within the group, the decisions they're gonna make, is influencing people. It is having an impact on the way people are going to respond, how people are going to think, what people are going to say. So self-leadership is the number one skill that you want to work on. When you have an interaction with someone where both are in self-leadership for themselves, it changes everything. The level of trust, the level of conversation, the quality of conversation, the intimacy, how much we care about each other, it all changes. But if you're, on the contrary, into expectation, I expect the other person to be here for me, I expect the other person to be interested by what I say, I expect the other person to like me, I want the other person to like me, it's all attachment to, you want the other person to feel a certain way toward yourself, you want the other person to behave a certain way toward yourself. And as long as you're into that attachment, you're not in your self-leadership, because you're always going to behave by projecting, and behave because you want other people to behave a certain way. So you're gonna do this, you're gonna say that, hoping that maybe it's gonna make them react a certain way. And then if they don't do what you want them to do, if they don't respond the way you would like them to respond, then you feel disappointed and you feel upset and you're frustrated, and then it's their fault, and then you enter in the blame, in the victim status. So being into your self-leadership is all going into what responsibility I have, taking ownership of yourself, of your own life, taking self-responsibility at the most serious level you can, taking ownership of all your decisions and your actions and basically your life. Being in your self-leadership is the cornerstone of for any relationship to flourish. And how society is evolving today, I don't see any other way at this point to change at a bigger scale than to change ourselves first. How we respond to life, how we respond to each other. I wanted to share that with you. I'll let you reflect on that. It's a lot. You may have heard what I've said at different level. what I invite you to do is to listen to it again and write down what comes up for you. I talk to you soon. Bye.